Welcome back to a brutal Vulcan playthrough. This is episode number 3. Yeah, starting off here in the old airlock. And since power is really not too much of a problem right now, just going to keep milking this arc furnace. Alright, so the goal of this episode is to build a furnace so I can make steel, solder, and all the other goodies. And then once we have that, we can retire the arc furnace and stop dumping all this gas into our structure here. And then make a arc welder, and it's complete. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had to refill the standard welder. I've always upgraded up before that became a problem. Moving that light away because that's where I'm going to put the new furnace right there. And I'm also going to build a tool printer finally. So the furnace is printing now. And I'll need a bunch of stuff for that. Good thing I found all that iron. And of course, once I have the furnace and then have steel, then I can make a few other things. For example, I can make the pneumatic mining drill. That will speed up the process a bit. Now, this is what I call the furnace I'm going to build. I call it an open furnace. So it's not sealed. The back of it will be open to the environment. Just because I'm moving gas in and out all the time, and I just really don't care if it cools down. It's just not a big deal. The second furnace I set up will be the sealed furnace that maintains heat. And I can retain the original furnace as a degasser. And then the other one will control the heat, so we don't lose anything once it's up to temperature. That'll be a advanced furnace, and I'll use that for the super alloys. So going through and building all the bits and pieces we'll need for the furnace and a whole bunch of pipes. Now I believe this furnace design, I was making this a little faster. This furnace design is unique. I haven't seen it. Now, of course, I haven't watched every single Stationeers video, so I'm curious if anyone's done anything like this. So we have our furnace. Because what I'm going to do is I'll have once I have it built, I will go outside to remove the back of the furnace. And that's so the active vent will now be exposed to outside. This allows me to do all the construction inside. So I do all the construction, and I wrap it up, go in the back, and remove the backing. Although one interesting aspect is I'm running the other end of that pipe runs out in the back. I'll put a passive vent on it. But then I just realized, because I'm going to open up the bottom of that furnace area, I could have put the passive vent inside that box and not have to run it outside. So that would have been a little better. And you saw there where I gave the active vent a name, so when I use it, I will have the right one. So here I'm putting the chutes on it. I'm putting a little more chutes on the input to give a little more depth. I had some issue with using too few chutes in my Europa run, which is still ongoing. Do not worry. All right, so that's and since I have these chutes, we'll put that, build some stackers. I get tired of having big piles of stuff. And I immediately set them all to 50. As I said, I made that mistake once, but I forgot to set it, and the default's 1, so it's not very useful for stacking purposes, especially if you put like a big chunk of steel in there. Expect chunks of 50, you get chunks of 1. Yep, I learned that lesson. All right, so sealing it up. So we have an active vent inside, which will open the back. I have a wire coming out. I'll have a logic switch in the front. And so basically, the active vent is set to add air. So basically, it sucks air and pushes it into the furnace. That's all it does. I'll never reverse the active vent. The reason why, because it's pretty darn slow when you reverse it. So to solve that, to the left of it, there's a pipe with a valve on it with a vent going outside. And so if I want to vent it, I just open the valve, and that gives you a much better throughput of gas moving out. And checking the time, so it's 88, that's below 90, so we can go do some mining here. So I think the furnace is all ready to go. We just need to collect some ore here. Let's thin out the inventory a little bit. Yeah, I really wish that alt-right stacked. That would be a nice feature. And print a bit of cable up. So effectively with that switch, I can remotely operate the active vent by turning it on or turning it off. And there's that switch, the valve I mean. I also put a pipe meter on the side of the valve that goes outside, because that gives me a quick way to check the temperature and outside. So typically what I would do, I put a gas sensor outside. So this vent I could have put within the box. So this is a something I realized afterwards. I'm counting over. Yeah, I want to do the right one, and that's the right one. But see, I could have put the vent in there because I'm going to open it up anyway. So in future design, I would do that. Now, I still want the lever on the outside, so to still have a lot of pipe looping around, so I have room for both the valve and the pipe meter. So maybe it's a wash pipe-wise. And then, of course, realize I have a whole bunch of ore sitting on me. I need some more lockers, too. Just get rid of this junk. You know, I do all that, but, you know, daylight happens before I typically fill up my inventory anyway. So I've seen this lead sitting right outside the base for a while now and just been ignoring it. And now I'm going to need some, so we can mine all that up. So this should be the last time I use the standard drill. But I can't make the new one until I have steel. I think it requires solder too. I forget. And here's some coal. Yeah, I've been ignoring things like silver, going over those. I have to go back and collect all that. Kind of wait until I just get the minimum required for the steel and the solder, and then I'll go hog wild after I upgrade. I get kind of lost down here. It's a pretty deep hole. I noticed all the coal veins seem to go straight down. It's a pattern there. Yeah, I filled up my belt there. Once I have the hydroponics set up, and I can process waste gas and then recool it back down again and pump up the O2, then you can pretty much, not maybe all day, but most of the day. So big chunk in the morning, big chunk in the evening, without a big deal. And if you switch to of course, a hard suit, then staying out all day long, not a problem. So that's a nice transition when you hit that point where, okay, so I turned on the switch, which turns on the active vent, which only operates in one way, and we fill it. So this is, you know, Vulcan basic furnace 101. Different people have different ways to activate it, but it's always an active vent to load it. And let's grab some of this stuff over here. Looks like I have enough for a double batch of steel here. Oh, there's some more there. Forgot I had a locker up here. Gotta put a junk up there. See, that's a bit toasty for lead. Adding more gas is not going to make it any better. I'm considering what to do here. That's a good temperature for making steel right there. So I decided to dump out the reagents because we're hitting peak day, so this is the wrong time to be making solder. Dump the reagents, make the steel, and then later on in the evening, or go ahead with the cooler air and make the solder. Oh, I love the fact they added the Celsius and gray next to it. Talking about a quality of life improvement. Because how many people listening have incorrectly converted numbers around, and you see in Kelvin, and you think it's Celsius or Celsius, and it really should be Kelvin. You wonder why it doesn't work. Or at least for me, I wonder why it doesn't work, and why is it making my alloys? And I realize I'm using the wrong units. See that meter? That meter looks really cool sitting there. I can just refer to it, and the valve's right there. So, because I said last time, which is a while ago, I just said put that sensor outside, put a console up, and a gas analyzer card, and run the wiring, and blah, 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 blah. And with this, I just put a pipe meter there because I'm dumping the gas anyway. Okay, to get a little warmer for, yep, still tracking. I need to build some more. I need steel to make additional solar units. Everything come down to steel. And while that's doing its thing, let's go ahead and make our tool printer. I guess they call it a tool manufacturer. Now with the advanced furnace, of course, it has a built-in pump, so you don't need this fun and games. Although I think this probably empties faster with the switch there. Also possible, I think the valve, I keep saying switch, the valve, I think the valve throttles a little bit. So maybe putting multiple valves on there and multiple would speed things up. And that should be... I mean, basically there's this peak, this curve. The curve when it hit over 900 Kelvin, which it is, and it curves up to about 957 something Kelvin, and then it heads one back down. So you get that peak, and then you just pump that furnace up with hot gas and let it run while the gas out there is, as long as it's like over 920 Kelvin, just keep filling it up. And then you can do, because you have a massive gas in there, you can do multiple batches of runs and then just work your way down. Now I'm just going to work my way down, do silicon first, and then iron, and then copper, and all that. So I really shouldn't need the arc furnace at this point. Yeah, I need to make some more large batteries. Yep, so this is, I had to get the this furnace going. Just needed the steel. Getting a little warmer so we can... Yeah, the first time around it cooled down, because obviously when you put things in there, it degasses and cools down the furnace. And the fact that it's exposed, so as the temperature goes down, from the peak, the whole thing cools down pretty quickly. But it's just to get us going here. It's pretty cheap and fast to set up, and it's always useful for degassing. No, no locker. The trick is not to leave the switch on and leave. You can leave the valve on or off, but you can't leave that switch on. Bad things will happen. And then at some point we'll get cold enough because of the evening air, and we'll do solder. Trying to multiplex, keeping the furnace going, what's going on there, and installing stuff and printing new stuff. And here we got. So I threw all the steel in there just so I can dump it back out through the stacker and get my chunks of 50. It's basically too hot. I want to make solder, so I'm just going to get the temperature down a little bit. And what I'm doing here, I'm putting the small pieces, the fractionals in here. So I'm going to put a bunch more locker space in here in the next episode. So, yeah, this just fits, but it's slammed across the wall there. I think I was putting it wrong. Yeah, I think I put too far. Not that far in the wall. That tool. I went 2 away, but I forgot the stacker sitting there, so I need to deal with that. Okay. So there's a small, half a small frame gap between it and the wall. I'm going to put some chutes around there just so it redirects anything into the floor and not into the wall. And we don't need that anymore. Cool. All gone. And that will greatly reduce the amount of off-gassing into this space. So I put multiple lights up. I was going to set lights up. I just didn't get to it. I've just been using my suit light all the time. Trying to keep everything going because I have this window. Once the day's over, I want to get out there and start mining because I have a whole bunch more stuff I need to mine now. And we need to take care of the basics here. And I'm going to put a light in here. And that because I want to start taking my suit off because of hygiene. And if I don't put a light in here, it'll be completely dark. And of course, using a flare would be counterproductive. So we'll put a little light in here. I can pull my suit off once we have oxygen here first. So let's dump our waste tank. When I set up the hydroponic room, then I'll put the tank storage units. I can take my waste tank, drop them in, they'll auto empty into the room. And then I'll be able to autofill the O2 tanks. So all that fun and games will happen. That will build that facing to the right of where I'm at. That's where the hydroponics will go. So near the end of this episode, you see me start building a whole bunch of steel frames and walls and sheets and all and glass and all that stuff. And that's in the next episode. I'll build out the hydroponics, get that going, and then put in a really crappy AC system. It's a small room just to get that going. I'll dump all these pipes out and then, filter it, get rid of any pollution that might have been in there. And get going on that. It's not for the food. It's for get the potatoes growing for the O2 generation. In the old days, with the old traders, then you would use a trader as find the DAGA firms that had super duper O2 generation ability, but Apparently that's some kind of impossible rare find if you have the massive runway set up trader type thing. So that's outside my zone. Okay, so before we empty the room, put the suit on and do that. Suck all the O2 back out. Okay. Turn the light off. Yeah, you can put sensors in there, the lights come on and off too for automation. You can actually use basic logic circuits for that too. Yeah, I'm being a little bit wasteful in power just because I'm generating more than I'm using. So if it makes things a little faster, I forgot to do that.
Air tank critical.
Not too bad. The pressure is still, 6,000 in that tank. And that's a lot. When you're getting down to like under 2,000, that becomes a problem. You're constantly topping it off. Oh, I love this meter. First time I used a meter like that for checking the temperature, and that's just like wonderful. And it's funny because I thought of it because the other way just takes too much time to set up. So I was thinking some faster way of doing it, and I realized I could just do that, do the meter. All right, let's make some lead. And that will not off gas, as we already did that. So lead. Make some solder. Let's make some solder. Keep mixing those two up. Okay. And now we have solder. It rolls through the switch. Okay, let's get this tool printer finished while we're here. Once again, using the evil gas-driven welder here. And click, and screwdriver, and boom. Get it wired up. I have the empty bottle with me. I'm going to toss that into the furnace at some point. So basically, as I empty the water bottles, I'm just going to toss them in the furnace. That's because the hydroponic room will have a drinking fountain. Drinking fountain is also one of those magical things they've added that you really can't live without. And so it makes the bottle filler, pointless. Unless you don't have an environment you can breathe in, I guess. So you can fill a bottle in any condition, in any environment.
Power low.
But in my scenario, that typically doesn't happen. So, because I need some place to take my helmet off. All right, steel. No more iron frames and all that crap. And definitely more efficient to make. Do a little housekeeping here. And it's gone. And I double checked the switch because, as I said, I forget that one. Now with the chip, I could automate the that furnace to some degree. So for example, if it's in sort of like a normal mode, then it waits till peak time frame, say around when you hit over 920 Kelvin, and then just automatically refilled the furnace, and then in the morning, it just emptied it. So it keeps it during the night, and then when it starts warming up, then it dumps the tank immediately, and then refills it when it gets warmer. And there's some cobalt. Yeah, I'm gonna deal with a jetpack thing soon. Yeah, the jetpack solution turns out I need a solution for the pneumatic drill, a high pressure tank. You know, which I just take from outside. And you want to do it when it's hot so you don't get liquids. You have to be over 160 Celsius for pollution not to pollutants not to generate. You got a lot of copper. There's some gold and some coal. Yeah, with this drill, the gold is painful to drill. So I just realized I should speed this section up. I started monologuing and forget I need to do little speed up sections on here. Right. So this makes gold a lot easier. When you run gold at 5x, it doesn't seem so painful to mine. More gold, yeah, more copper, why not? Drill. I also need to get the ore scanner so I can find those spots. I slowed this back down because that was a pretty cool visual. I think the graphics are definitely, they seem better in the updated, in the beta versus the old Vulcan. Definitely it looks totally different, you know, a lot more ashy and more of a burnt environment. Yeah, nice having an airlock here, so we have to vent half the base every time I come in. And not quite hot enough to do anything, so let's dump out that gas, wait till it gets warm, and then we'll pump it back up. Alright, so let's... I'm not really sure what happens if I just print it that way, so I'm just going to avoid having something stuck in the frame. And we'll just loop it around, and that's good enough. It goes around, falls on the ground there. I was thinking about making this a 3x6 instead of a 3x5, and that would give me room to not have to do this. Okay, so we have all that. So we need some steel and some copper. We made the solder and drop all that in. I should have broke that copper up, that solder up a little bit in smaller chunks before I dumped it all in. But I don't have to make that many things in a tool printer. So once I make those things, I just dump everything out and be done with it. Yeah, I was gonna see if I make a smart canister, but apparently that's a tier 2 item, so I can't do that yet. Because one of the comments about the pneumatic drill was you get a smart canister and you pump it all the way up and it runs like a bandit. So won't be able to test that out yet. But this will be an upgrade, and with that we'll make more ores and do some smelting, and we'll get these suckers upgraded and make another canister or two. And we need something to plug it into. Let's move this out of the way. Yeah. All right, so since I have this vent going outside, right there on the floor, I figure I just tap into it. I mean, I'm going to move all this stuff. It's not the best place to put it because it's sort of burning floor space, but for now, why not? I just want to get going on the new drill. And then I play with this way too long. Oh, no, actually I don't. No, because I move it over here. I need to practice using those rotation keys a little more. It's almost like, oh, one more will make it. Okay, so that we got to put a little bit away. Now I could have it facing straight up too, but more pipe there. So I'll tap off that, the pressure regulator, crank it up to 9,000, fill the tank, drop it into the drill, and voila. Yeah, keep checking that valve. Yeah. Fill it up, fill it up. And then I had to gap it a little bit so I had room to put the cable here. Nope, wrong one. Yeah. Avoided me spinning that sucker around for a while. Confirm. Oh, I dragged it. I didn't right click it. Regressing. All right, that's gonna take a while. And since it's during the daytime I'm doing this, the gas is hot, no liquids. So if you do it at night, you get liquids. But at night I'm mining, so I don't have to put a drain on it. And gonna make some some walls. Steel walls and steel flat walls and all that stuff. Yeah, I keep rotating that small battery, but because my suit light's on, I keep burning through it. Yeah, I used to do I put in two switches. One switch operated the direction, and one turned it on and off. So to remove the gas, you invert it, and it just took like forever to happen. So I like this design a little more. It takes up a little more space. Now I could route the pipes in a different way to try to cut down on the, like, try to put the valve in front. That might be a better concept. But it's sort of a temporary thing. Once I get the advanced furnaces, I'd rather use those and go that route long term. Slowly filling. A little pile of ore here. Yeah, clips right through the switch. And the reason why it clips through, because every time you create a collision box, you just made the graphics slightly slower when things move around. Or they just forgot. So either it's optimization, they forgot to put a collision box around it. But you think to be a collision box around the whole switch, the whole box. Because it's like it does partly, the base of it is checked, but not the switch itself. Maybe that's just a bug. Yeah, not sure I'm making an improvement by moving from one pile to another pile. And make some hydroponic trays. I decided to speed this up. I'm running out of things to monologue about, so here. just printing stuff. This is all this stuff is just get ready for the next episode when I go ahead and build out the hydroponic room. And it's still daylight, you know. I have to go outside to build out all that out. So I'll go ahead and do the take care of this. It's always something. And starting to get hygiene warnings now. So there must be like a grace time, like the first week or so, where they don't bother you too much. And then now I'm starting to see it pop up. So I'll just take my suit off while I'm in there. And I'm just looking around just to make sure I got not much. It's quite a bit of O2 in that tank. I think you start with 2.5 kilomoles, and I got 2 kilomoles in there. Plus whatever in my tank, plus whatever in those pipes I have. So I haven't consumed that much O2. Because I'll be consuming some of that O2 to make water at some point. Yeah. It's nighttime. Don't have all that free power coming in. Yeah, I'm not really sure how effective most of the time wind turbines are on Vulcan. Obviously, during the storms, that helps a lot. If I had a station battery hooked up, that would have been useful. And we got a storm. Speaking of storms, although I did print some large batteries, so it was good timing on that. Well, the storm started, so I printed some large batteries. So I dropped those in there, get those charged up. So this is all hydroponic stuff. We need pipes, and we need hydroponic trays, and then we need what else we need? Fountain. So I'm not going to use a grow light initially. I'm just going to use the natural sun and just keep it and just deal with the cooling issue. There's my drinking fountain. So the storm sort of threw me off here. The storm hit, so now I'm kind of stuck inside here. Print that. Just print. And I go, this keeps going. So I figured, well, the storm's been going long enough. If I go outside, you know, I got a fresh large battery. My hydration hunger is fine. Tanks are, well, my O2 tank's getting kind of thin there, I guess. I figure I go outside and just do some mining until it stops. You know, what could go wrong? It's better than standing there. So the temperature outside is 80 or 81 Celsius. I knew it dropped in temperature, but I thought in retail it didn't drop that far. But it's a bit over a year, so maybe I'm not sure what changes they've made. 80 is pretty low. Oops. Obviously, I'm trying to avoid using my jetpack. I don't think I have a lot of control if I'm flying around. I'm not really sure. I don't get blown away, though. So I'll just... So this is the pneumatic drill. I have my other drill in my inventory as a backup. I'm trying to dig my way out of here. Get that goal. So definitely is definitely... Now, this is right now I'm operating at normal speed. I've not sped this up. So it's definitely faster, for sure. So that suggestion was a wonderful suggestion. So it also means, yeah, get steel, get the pneumatic drill as fast as possible after that. It's your next thing you make after you get your first thing of steel. It's definitely a winner. And if I burn through one tank, I can just carry a spare tank. It's not really a big deal. Keep them full. Yeah, I'm gonna need all that stuff. Cobalt, nickel, ton of gold, and silver. Work my way through all the alloys. So I'm just running at normal speed right now just to see a feel of what the new drill does. And I assume that as the pressure of the tank drops, the performance drops. So I had up to 9,000, so it should start strong. I don't have a feel how long that tank lasts. I have to look at it after the mining trip and see how much is left on it. I mean, it's obviously probably worth. I have 2 tanks and I'll swap them every time I go, so I always start with a fresh tank. And then keep the battery version as a backup. And there's more nickel. Probably gonna wish I focused more on the nickel at some point. Well, I need to make electron, so it's going to require a bit of gold. But there is silver near the base. I keep skipping over it. I think when I come out of the doorway, head about 45 degrees out, there's silver there. I just keep passing over it. This is where, like, if you can mine during the daytime, Vulcan is a dream to mine. Yeah, you can see everything. All the different ores kind of glitter. There's definitely a different type of terrain. And there's still lava. You go down, there's like lava lakes and things. You see an artifact way in the back. There's actually a hill there, but if you get it just the right angle, you see a big pile of lava. Okay, so that's the end of this episode. Until next time, see ya.